Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everybody. So I will.
Kurosu-san, would you like to put it in full screen mode?
Yeah. I'm at the head of the Space Business Development Office, and I will use the one app called the Mentimeter to make my presentation as interactive as possible. So this is a simple app. So if you have a smartphone, just they get this QR code to access or get to the www.ment.com and key in this code. So this is a kind of trial inquiry for everybody, so that you know who are connecting to this other session. So please enter. Please choose answer. So student, teacher, professor, space company, or space agency, good initial staff, teacher, professor, half is student. So if you are now logging in, so you just go to the med.com and enter this code, please. Okay, so I move on. This is a trial question. So half of them is from the student. Okay, I come back to the presentation. So today I will cover this. So after the brief introduction, I will cover what is SDGs from a history point of view, because SDGs is so huge. So I'd like to, equal the understanding level. And then I cover what is the space SDGs from my experience from ISU lectures regarding SDGs. And then I will show some example of the SDG-related solutions from my company's cases, and I close this session. Okay, so I think I need to introduce everything. So one thing I add is the Rei-san, Kawashima-san invited me to become the advisory board member for UNISEC. Thank you, Rei-san, for this wonderful position. And then what is SDGs? So I go to the next question to you. When did UN, United Nations, formally start tackle the global environment issue? When do you think? When do you think the UN? So it was 1972, 50 years ago, or 1992, or 2012. What do you think? Which one UN started tackle? 1972 is already 50 years ago, or 30 years ago, or just 10 years ago. So 92 or 12. Actually, the answer is 50 years ago, when the UN had a meeting, first so-called major meeting about the environment in Stockholm. And they had a Stockholm Declaration, famous declaration, already back in 1972. So do you think the environment is improved? That's, really the delicate question. And some parties even becoming worse. So then what happened in 1992 is this is again a famous summit called Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro. So this is the environmental issue was becoming more and more critical. So that they had an Earth Summit in 20 years from the Stockholm Declaration. And then what happened in 2012 is the Conference of Sustainable Development. Then they started to use this, the SDGs wording for the environment too. So by the way, they also call this summit as a Rio 20 because this is 20 years from the Earth Summit. So the Stockholm 1972 and 20 years later Earth Summit and 20 years later for the Conference for Sustainable Development. Next question, what is SDGs? If you choose one, which one do you choose? Global environment improvement, succession of MDGs, What is MDGs? Well, human rights protection. If you choose one, which one do you choose? Which is the most probable, one appropriate word for SDGs? Environment improvement. Yes, lots of things are happening to protect the Earth. Succession of MDGs and human rights, all important. But if you choose one, which one is appropriate for to represent the SDGs? More than half is environment. So I think this is natural that one of people recognize environment issue is SDGs are very important because all the news tell about the climate change and disaster. When we had lots of rain in Japan now, and we had some flooding in the northern part of Japan. But if I choose one, the answer is succession of MDGs. So what is MDGs? MDGs stands for Millennium Development Goals. And in 2000, UN adopted MDGs. And then 2002, first time UN started to take the word sustainable development in the major meetings. So the MDGs first, and then SDGs coming out. And then a famous SDGs declaration in the 70th UN General Assembly back in 2015. So I just summarize what happened about the SDGs. So as I said, in 2000, UN declared MDGs. So the what MDGs in short is to save developing countries. The developed countries save developing countries. One part of the world support the other part of the world, one north to the south. But what happened after that is that we had lots of problems, global issues, global problems, like climate change symptoms are becoming more and more obvious. And the biggest crisis at that time was the financial crisis, started from the United States, the financial sector's collapse. So the crisis was just born in one country, but spread to the world immediately, then damaged the worse in developing countries, which expanded inequality a lot. So the people started to recognize that we cannot just no more, somebody supports somebody, but we should tackle the global issues by global collaboration or partnership. Then in the 2015, SDGs was born with a motto of leave no one behind. And I'm a business person, and from business point of view, this is very important that business sector recognize SDGs as business chances. So we put more money and to solve the issues globally with the money on cash from the ESG investment. Lots of investors are willing to support business section to make the things turn around to become, the global corporation to solve, to achieve the SDGs. So, but now more and more, we are not just talking about the chances, but it's almost a must to follow to become in order to become a license to operate. So this is the trend we are facing now. And the SDGs, Maeda-san already talked about the 17 goals. In addition to that, I like this explanation by UN. And so they clearly mentioned the importance of the SDGs to harmonize three core elements: economic growth and social inclusion and environmental protection. But you can imagine that economic growth, in many cases, harm the environment in the past. So it's very, difficult actually to balance that. But the SDGs must, if we achieve the SDGs, we must balance these three. This is a very important point, especially from a business point of view. We see this as a business chances, but we should also protect the earth. And behind the 17 goals, there are common spirits called 7 Ps. people, planet, partnership, peace, and prosperity. So I think it's good to remember this point to balance these three elements. And also the spirit is 5 Ps and before the background of SDGs. So what is the space for SDGs? I was very lucky to attend the second course of ISU back in 2020, because due to the pandemic, they switched the space study program to interactive space program, fully online program. And due to the pandemic, the course became unique. Almost all the teachers addressed how the space-enabled solution support to solve the issue on the Earth, especially pandemic. So all the teachers, all the professors address how we can utilize the space technology to solve the problem on the Earth, especially pandemic, or to mitigate COVID-19. So many lectures about the SDGs, like policy, and also the many hours we spend for the telemedicine to mitigate COVID-19 in a remote area, etc. And not only that, the UN, UN covered all the SDGs activities from the UN authors organization, and remote sensing, and the disaster management, and food security. So luckily, I could learn a lot of things about SDGs from the highest level of teachers, from all the speakers who really was involved in this kind of activity. So I just summarize these in one slide about the space-enabled solution. What kind of space-enabled solution are already contributing SDGs? So disaster prevention, mitigation, and recovery, and environment monitoring and improvement, and activity tracking and optimization. These three typically utilize the data from satellites. Unlike UN Spider is working very hard especially for disaster prevention. And you may have heard about Space for SDGs, utilizing satellite data to contribute to the many parts of SDGs. And these kind of things, in addition to these kind of things, like education to the developing countries, support a lot for their development, and also lots of tons of the spin-out technologies to be utilized actually supporting to achieve the SDGs. So then I will take some example from the cases of my company. So before that, I'll briefly explain what we are doing, what Yokogawa Electric Corporation is doing. So we are a company in charge of we are actually the #1 process automation company in Japan, and in charge of three the key domain: measurement and control and information technology. And by the way, when we became, when our history for space started, actually back in 1961, many years ago. And the first one we sent our instrument to the space is the ionosphere sensor, which we delivered to the Tokyo University, and mounted in the Kappa 8 rocket back in 1961. And about 30 instruments were, went to the space from various parts of Japan, which generated lots of data about ionosphere. So then NASA became interested in that, and we also delivered 3 instruments to NASA, 3 NASA rockets, including this Nike Cajun rocket, launched from Wallops Island back in 1962. So it's a great history, but and also that we supplied some equipment to the JAXA rocket, like this umbilical controller, but all the projects are project by project. So after we did some project, 10 years, nothing happened, like that. And on the other hand, from our main automation business, we supplied lots of very reliable instruments to the harsh environment, a very extreme environment on the Earth, like deep sea and Arctic. So the engineers started to say that now we are now making this kind of a very reliable instrument. So our next horizon could be space. However, yet space and also the environment on the Earth is very, very different. So we wanted to know which area we can enter this space industry. So then I went to the International Space University 2019 to learn what the space means, what the space industry means. And I was very much shocked because you can imagine that 3 years ago, so at that time, new space revolution was really taking place. So I thought maybe it's the right timing to enter the market, like a company who are not so, the space dedicated company because of expanding opportunities in the industry. So after I came back from ISU, as Nate said, that I started the task force, activity task force. And 2 years ago, we had summer space projects like this, the life science equipment to be delivered to the JAXA ISS-Global module. And then just last year, I established the space organization in my company. So I'm back to the sustainability. So in 2017, we decided to focus on these 3 areas of sustainability among the 70 goals. First one is net zero emissions, and second one is well-being, and third one is circular economy. So we, combine all our technology and the strengths to focus on these 3 areas. So we had already developed the solution on the Earth for net zero emission, well-being, and circular economy. Now we are expanding to this solution to the space. I'll tell you some examples later. And first one is the remote sensing. By the way, the information I will give is already I gave at the 65th Japan Society for Aeronautical and Space Science Conference, or UCAREN, last year. So first example is remote sensing data utilized for the SDGs. So Yokogawa is an automation company, so we have lots of sensors on the ground and also very good at handling data close to the physical operation on the surface. If we combine this data with the bird's eye view data from satellite and nicely combine and with analysis, so we can combine this data and transform these data into the meaningful information to solve some issues for the Earth. So that we are now doing we are developing 2 solutions together with our customers. First one is the land displacement decision manager with the customer in Latin America. So this customer has a mine. It is a mining company. And mining, they keep the mining waste in the artificial lake type of thing or a dam. And sometimes this dam or dike is broken and waste is damaging the village below. So they want to avoid, of course, this kind of a tragedy. So we use the satellite data, SAR data, to monitor the structure of this dam, so that the customer can predict some, the unexpected failure of this structure of the dam. And second one, we are working with the customers in Asia, Southeast Asia, to grow the forest efficiently. In other words, to grow the forest to absorb more carbon dioxide. So the management of forest is a very labor-intensive thing. And if they can have the kind of, the bird's eye view to understand the healthiness of the forest, they can save lots of time and also efficiently grow their forest. So we are now working on with some customers, actual customers, to develop these 2 solutions. And second one is well-being. So we supply the life science equipment to the ISS-Global module. So we supplied this technology called the confocal scanner, and this scanner was mounted to the cosmic named by JAXA, for COSMIC stands for a confocal space microscope, which was integrated by Chiyoda Corporation. And this scanner, what this scanner does is, in short, to monitor the live cell in the 3D manner without damaging the cell. So we are now using that for the cell experiment. And for example, on the surface, on the Earth, so it's very difficult. We are challenging to create the stem cell, iPS cell, in the 3D manner. So, but under the microgravity, it may be possible to do that. And if we can monitor how the cell is grown in the microgravity, maybe we can, understand the mechanism and to, implement the same thing on the Earth. So we are now doing together with the JAXA and also the academia. We are supporting, academia is conducting this experiment using our technology. First one is a space organogenesis experiment done by the Tokyo University and the Yokohama City University. And the recent experiment, which is run by astronaut Hoshide-san. Hoshide-san did the cell gravity sensing experiment, which was planned by Nagoya University. And the detail of this experiment was on the JAXA's webpage. You can go there to check it. Third one is just under development is a circular economy on the moon. Now we are working with several partners to create the hydrogen supply chain on the moon, starting from water exploration to electrolysis, and then utilize the hydrogen and the oxygen for the fuel and also the human beings living on the moon. And we formalized the agreement with one of our partners called iSpace to create the hydrogen supply chain on the moon. It was announced last month. Okay, so what we are doing as a conclusion, so we keep creating a net zero emission and well-being solution from the LEO, and we are just busy creating circular economy solutions on the moon, and make sure these technology are, contributing to the SDGs on the Earth. So we say that think of space means think of the Earth. Okay, so I close with 2 more slides. So this is a popular, the slide by Chief Sustainability Officer in the world, which is called as SDGs wedding cake, developed by Stockholm Resilience Center. So they organize the 70 goals into the 3 layers: biosphere, society, and economy. So our society is based on the biosphere. And only if the biosphere is healthy, so society exists. And only the society is healthy, we can talk about the money, which is, this image is quite, important to talk to the people. What is the importance? What are the, significance or importance to sustain our ecosystem or, the world? So now we are in charge of space. So now we're expanding this ecosystem to the world. To the space, first solar system, and in the future, in the total universe. So it's very important to, sustain this ecosystem and, expand to the universe and to utilize the developed technologies back to the Earth to sustain our, Mother Earth. So thank you very much for your attention.